Hello, welcome to week 2 of semester 2. If you're watching this video, it's because you are in my second period English 10 class for sophomores and you were gone either the whole week or just part of the week. So this is what we did or are going to do. This week I have you on Tuesday and Thursday because of how the rolling block schedule shifted a little bit. So we will always start out with our video announcements. They're linked here if you want to watch them. And then we're going to be reviewing in class how to sign up for Titan Connection Time, because if you remember, that is slightly shifting with the schedule for this semester. So we will now be having advisory just once a month, and it's going to be the first Wednesday of every month. And because last week on Wednesday was the first day of semester 2 and it was an all-meet day, we did not have advisory, and we won't have it this week. We're starting that in March. So this, for all the other Wednesdays for the month of February, are going to be just Titan Connection Time. And if you remember the schedule, it's shifting so that we have the first period of the day, either 5th or 1st, depending on if it's an A day or B day. And then you have Titan Connection Time, and then lunch, and then the last 3 periods. So this is linked, and I have printouts if you need it, but we'll talk about this in class. Then we are going to have some independent reading time. Last week, you should have checked out a book. And those of you that had me last semester, you should have checked out a different book. So pick which one out of those 2 that you want to read, and we'll be reading in class. And then we're starting a new unit. And before I tell you what it is, I'm going to have you practice some inference making, some observational skills with an activity in class called a gallery walk. So there will be 10 stations set up around the room with different things. They're not labeled other than just a number, and you will get a handout, one of these, and your job is to answer these questions, answer these boxes, fill in some notes as you go. And when you go around the room, I want you to look at the books that are there, look at the papers that are up on the wall, flip through a couple pages and really make some observations. Don't just look on the outside. I want you to actually peek inside and see what you can find. And these are the questions you're going to be answering. What do these things have in common? How are they different? Which of these things are you familiar with? Which of them are maybe completely brand new to you? And then we're going to talk about that. So this will be an in-class activity. So after doing the gallery walk, you'll notice there are different types of texts at each station. And the purpose of this was to show you how varied they are. We had play scripts, song lyrics, short stories, poems, journal entries, letters, novels, children's books, graphic novels, movies, and TV scripts. This is all a form of writing, and they're all very different from each other. Some of them are more similar, like a play script and movie TV script. But the purpose of you going around and making these observations and looking is to get you thinking about what do they have in common, how are they different, and which ones are you more or less familiar with. Because creative writing is the unit we're going to be doing, and there are so many different avenues to creative writing. It's one of my favorite things in English because there's just so many different ways to express ideas and stories, and we're going to explore a lot of those things by looking at other people's work and then being able to produce our own work. So to start off, getting an intro to this unit, read this quote by E.L. Doctorow called Writing with Headlights and answer these questions on your slide. So in class, I will be reading just 3 paragraphs from this book, Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. Anne Lamott is a famous writer who also teaches people how to write, and she has this idea of a 1-inch picture frame that's connected to that quote you just read, where sometimes we get overwhelmed because we feel like we can't possibly just write something so big. But if you just take it one step at a time and only focus on one thing at a time, it makes it so much easier. So we're going to practice that this week. So for 10 to 15 minutes, you are going to pick something around the room. And if you're at home doing this, pick something around you. And you're going to write for as long as you can for 10 to 15 minutes. I want at least 2 big paragraphs at minimum, but I want you to try to write for the whole time. You're going to be describing the scene, the object, as in much detail as you can. So think about the 5 senses, if that'll help you. Try to get really creative and descriptive with how you paint this scene. And you'll do it right here. So with that little exercise, we're going to come back to it, but we're going to talk about the 6 traits of effective writing. You're going to get a handout that discusses each one of these and kind of gives you like a rubric to show you like from awesome, you're there, to not quite, and then somewhere in the middle. I want you to look over it, but I want you to specifically look at word choice today because we're going to be talking about it. So word choice is really important because it can totally change the game for your writing and make it so much more elevated. It can make it so much more specific to like what you're actually trying to communicate instead of using vague words. So the definition is that strong word choice involves descriptive writing that paints pictures in the reader's mind. The writing is natural and precise with vivid word choice. So you're making very specific decisions. So look back over what you wrote here about the scene or the object that you chose and see if you can revise any words. Maybe look at verbs or adjectives and see if you can revise that and make it a little bit better. Okay, so this will be for Thursday. We will start off with some independent reading time. And then we're going to do a book check-in, so make sure you have something to write with because this will be on a handout. So to warm us up for writing, you're going to pick one of these 4 pictures and you're going to write a background story for the photo. And you're not just going to describe like what's happening in the photo, but what led up to what's happening in the photo. So we have a man jumping off a cliff of some sorts into the water. You have a race car that's smoking. You have a boat that just kind of landed on the shore. And then you have these 2 cute little dogs in the sunshine. So you pick one and you're going to write a quick little background story for the pictures. How did we get to this point? So now, after you've written that, you're going to see if you can take what you wrote, which you should have wrote at least a paragraph, and whittle it down to just 2 sentences. What would be the 2 most important sentences? This is going to help us practice 2-sentence stories. So another activity we're going to do, you're going to go to this website called Unsplash. I'll show you what it looks like. It's linked also in Canvas. It's a really cool website that gives you these awesome professional pictures that are free because professional photographers, usually you need to get their permission. You need to get, sometimes you have to pay for it, but this is all free. Are choosing to, these creators are choosing to like basically donate these really awesome pictures. So you can search and see what they just have on the homepage, or you can even type something like basketball and see what pops up. All of this stuff that says iStock we can't use, but if you scroll down, you can use any of this stuff. So when you click on it, it'll give you the option to download it. And what you're going to do is you are going to choose 3 pictures. You can pick whatever you want. You can search all the different categories that they have. You're going to pick 3 pictures, and for each picture, you're going to write a 2-sentence story. And I want you to use the picture to enhance the story rather than just kind of explaining what's going on in the picture, because that's not really what I'm asking. So here's an example. Let's say I have this picture, and this is what I come up with. These are 2 separate sentences. I know they're long, but they are 2 separate sentences. On October 28th, I adjusted my Halloween costume and knocked on the door, relieved that I had been invited to a party. Hey, look, I didn't realize you hired entertainment, shrieked the voice at the door amid 50 laughing guest parties. This was not a Halloween party after all. So this is just something, very fun, and it's obviously the start of a story or maybe the start of a chapter. But you're going to pick 3 pictures, any of them that you want, and you're going to write 2 sentences as a story about that picture. And you'll do it here. So the picture goes here and your sentences go here. Okay, so let's look back at our 6 traits of effective writing, that rubric I gave you on Tuesday. These are the 6 traits. we looked at word choice, but now I want you to look at sentence fluency. Sentence fluency occurs when the writing flows smoothly and reads in a rhythmic and graceful pattern, but often writers accomplish strong sentence fluency by using varied sentence structure and avoiding repeated words and grammatical patterns. So smooth sentence fluency becomes apparent when writing is read aloud. So it's very critical for you to read aloud. So you're going to go back to the two sentences that you wrote, and with a partner, I want you to revise for sentence fluency. So read them out loud and see if you could change the way that they sound. And you'll write your revision right here. And that is all for week 2. If you have any questions, please let me know.